Hi, I'm Louise Cooke, and welcome to Genealogy Gems. Today we are going to be talking about the 1931 Canadian Census. It's not every day that new records come online, and so it's pretty exciting when they do. And the 1931 census came out on June 1st of 2023. So the challenge with this census, like with all other type of records, when they first come online, is there's no index. And that's because it takes a while. So right now, the digitized images are available online to browse. And I understand that I think it's Ancestry.com is partnering with the Library and Archives Canada to get the artificial intelligence index generated. So until that happens, we have 4 strategies for you that are going to help you find your ancestors right now. And I even have a bonus idea for you as well. And of course, once the index comes out, it's not necessarily going to be perfect. They never are. So these strategies could help you in that case. So let's jump right into it. My first strategy for finding your ancestors in the 1931 census, particularly without an index, is to check the earlier census records. So the person I'm looking for is my husband's great-grandfather, Harry Cooke, and he immigrated to Canada in 1912 along with his second wife, Martha. So what I did was I wanted to go and check and see, could I find him in a census record sometime after 1912, but prior to 1931. Harry lived in Regina, Saskatchewan, so I was able to use the Census of Prairie Provinces, and that was taken in 1926. Really nice and close, within 5 years of this new record collection. And it was taken for Saskatchewan, Alberta, and Manitoba. And you can use the census search tool at the National Archives Canada website to be able to search those census records. If your ancestors lived in other provinces, again, that census search tool is going to help you find the most recent census records available for them. What we're looking for is we are trying to identify the enumeration sub-district and the municipality. So for Harry in 1926, he was in sub-district number 8. The municipality was called Sherwood. And so I want to make note of that. But also, while looking at that 1926 census, there is an area where it talks about where they're located specifically, each household. And they list the township and the range and the meridian. So you want to also make note of the township number that's listed. For Harry, he was in Township 17. Of course, the municipality was Sherwood. If your ancestors happen to live in town, there may also be a street address. Now, of course, many people came to Canada to help work the land, so you may not be fortunate and find that information. But for Harry in Regina, he was listed at 520 Osler Street. So make note of a street address if they have it. Sometimes it's written right across where you're finding that township and meridian and section information. So number 1 was check earlier census records. Strategy number 2 is to check city directories. So a really easy way to do this is just to Google it. I found the 1931 city directory by simply Googling for it. So you go to google.com, type in 1931 Regina City Directory, and the very first result was the city directory for Regina in 1931, and it was over at Internet Archive. So you can find that at archive.org. Now, I happen to have heard that there was a city directory for 1931, so that's why I did that specifically. But you could also Google it this way. Put the name of the town or the closest big city to where your ancestors lived. You might even try just the province name, but I would Google the largest city name and put in city directory, and then you could put a number range. So Google can support this operator. If you put in a time frame, like I could have put in 1912 ... 1931. That would have brought up any search results that mention Regina, that mention city directory, and also mention a 4-digit number that falls within that range, which of course for us would be the year that the city directory was published. So that's a great way to go. But Internet Archive has a ton of these. A lot of these different record websites that we find that we use their records for genealogy research, they have been using Internet Archive as kind of their cloud hosting service for their records. So they digitize everything and upload it to Internet Archive where they can host it. I think they can host it for free. I don't know, but a lot of repositories and archives do use it. So that is a great place to look, but I would use the Google search because that way you are going across the internet and you're going to find hopefully the best location for the city directories that you need. So in this case, he was in 1931 and Martha and Harry are still at 520 Osler Street. So that kind of helped reinforce what I had found in the 1926 census. Strategy number 3 is to head to the Library and Archives Canada website. I've got a link for you in the show notes that will take you directly to the 1931 census search tool. So it's real simple. At this point, without an actual index, what we're going to do is we're going to enter in the province name, the city, if you have it, and the subdistrict. Now, in the case of Harry and Martha Cooke, I found them, of course, in 1926 in subdistrict number 8. So that was the first place I searched. But what was interesting was that that subdistrict, according to the current records for 1931, was not associated with Sherwood. And in fact, it didn't mention Township 17 either. So I was very suspicious. Now, this can happen because as a country grows, of course, the population grows. And they need to draw these districts in a way that a single person can do the enumerating. So the census taker has to be able to cover this area with the amount of people that are in that area within a certain given time frame. So sometimes in a more populated city, that can mean that the subdistrict actually shrinks a little bit. We get more of them as we get further along in time taking census records. So it's not totally surprising that he was no longer in district number 8. So that means we're going to have to browse a little further. And that takes us to strategy number 4. And strategy number 4 is to browse the records faster using a couple of very specific clues. So you could go through them one by one and just review every image, and that could take a long time. Gosh, when this record collection was first launched on June 1st of 2023, each image, at least on my computer, took at least 2 hours to load. It was crazy. Everybody and their brother wanted to look at these records. Of course, now it's running much faster, but there are a few things that you can do to get through this process much faster. First thing you can do to browse the records faster is to pull up each subdistrict, keep track of the order in which you're going. And I just started with subdistrict number 1 because I wasn't sure. Now, you could take the one that you thought they were in and look at the one before it and look at the one after it, because there might be a good chance that it hasn't shifted too far and you'll get lucky right away. But it can be really helpful just to be very methodical. Start with the first one and pull up subdistrict number 1. The very first image in each subdistrict is going to have a title card, and that title card is going to include your township number and the municipality. So if you were already able to locate that in the earlier census record, you are going to be able to do this so much quicker because you can just pull up card number 1, and if it doesn't match, go on to the next subdistrict. I would suggest using a research log, and if you are a Genealogy Gems premium member, and I hope you are part of our family, you can go to the show notes for this video. You'll find the link in the video description below. And on our show notes page at our website, premium members can download the worksheet that I put together for you. It's just a really simple way to keep track of everything that you're finding and make sure that you're not covering the same bases twice. So you're going to be taking a look at that first title card, and just be aware, you might see the township number that you were looking for, but it's not the right municipality, or vice versa. I did find that in the case of looking for the Cookes. So I made note of that in my worksheet, But I kept moving and kept going to each subdistrict, hoping to find an exact match. And indeed, I did. Now, if you find a subdistrict that looks really promising, perhaps it has one or both of the items you're looking for, the township or the municipality, take a quick look at image number 2, the first page that shows people in the neighborhood. There's a couple things to look for. If you know that your ancestors were, let's say, British, like Harry and Martha were, then you might expect them to be in a neighborhood with predominantly British people. That was really common. When you leave your homeland and you come to a brand new country, you tended to oftentimes immigrate with other people from the country you came from. That's often how you heard about the opportunity. And once you get there, you tended to kind of congregate together. You lived together in communities and neighborhoods so that you knew that you were speaking the same language and you could support each other and help each other. And oftentimes you knew each other in the old country. So it's not uncommon. And one of the things that really tipped me off about subdistrict number 8 for the Cookes was it was full of Russians, Romanians, and Hungarians. And while that made total sense, they were all living together, a lot of them were speaking shared languages, that is not where I would have expected Harry to be, particularly because when I looked at the 1926 census, I made note of who his neighbors were. And indeed, it was a very predominantly British neighborhood. So that was a clue to me that even though I might have had the right township number, it didn't mention the right municipality, and it certainly had a completely different makeup when it came to the neighborhood. The other thing that you can also do is, as you're reviewing the surnames and going down the list on the image, take a look at the township column. Because remember, we made note of the township number that we found in the earlier census. And if, like the Cookes, they were living on a street like Osler Street, as I'm going through down the line for looking for the surnames, I'm also going to be checking, is this the right township number? Do I see any other Osler streets? I actually saw a lot of different street names, and I realized I don't know Regina very well. So in another browser tab, I opened up Google Maps. I did a search for Osler, and then I did directions to, and I entered one of the street names that I was seeing on the census records. And sure enough, they were miles and miles apart. That's another clue. You might not be in the right area. So you're trying to zero in as quickly as you can. And if you don't find that exact match of township and municipality on the index card for that subdistrict, you're going to be looking at these other factors to see if you're in the right ballpark. In the end, I am happy to say I found the Cookes, and I found them pretty quickly. They were in subdistrict number 11. The title card showed that it covered Township 17 and the municipality of Sherwood. It was an exact match. And they were on image number 18, residing in a very predominantly British neighborhood on Osler Street. Now here's a bonus tip. Remember, we talked about using Google Maps as a way to see how close together the known street address was to the street addresses you're seeing on the census images. Well, now that you have found them, if by chance they have a street address listed, why not head over to Google Maps and take a quick look? That's exactly what I did. I just went to Google Maps, typed in 520 Osler Street, Regina, and grabbed Street View to jump right down to street level and take a look. Now, what's interesting is in the 1931 census, it actually tells you what the dwelling, what the home was made out of. Harry had W listed, so that, I believe, meant wood, and sure enough, it's a wood structure today. It also said that it had 5 rooms, and in fact, it even told me that they happened to have a radio in the house. So really fun to be able to go back and look today, and if you're fortunate, the home is still there, and you get just one more peek at your ancestors' lives. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope it helps you find your ancestors, your relatives, just interesting folks in the 1931 Canadian Census. Again, it's available at the Library and Archives Canada website. I've got the link, I've got the research log for you, all at genealogygems.com. This is in the video section under Records, and it says just click the link for Canadian Records 1931 Canadian Census. And when you're at the website, I hope that you'll, on the homepage, click the button, the red button, to join our newsletter. That's a great way to stay in touch with me, and you'll get little weekly notifications on the newest videos that we've got coming out, and events and all kinds of stuff going on at Genealogy Gems. So I hope you'll join us for that. Thank you so much for watching, my friend. I'll talk to you soon.